Hey folks, it's Dave Neal, host of the Rush Hour. We have bombshell updates with the Epstein files story as the Department of Justice now saying they are going to be contacting Ghislaine Maxwell to find out if there's any more abusers or more to the story. Will Ghislaine Maxwell talk? Will it involve any sort of plea deal to lessen her sentence? Yet to be seen. But this is a massive movement on the Epstein story, a story they wanted to go away under 2 weeks ago. Realizing it's not going to go away, maybe we'll finally start to get answers. And we've also got Thomas Massie here, representative out of Kentucky, and Ro Khanna out of California, working together in a bipartisan bill to get Epstein files released. You can see from this photo, Massie says, if you won't release phase 2, we will. He's got this little photo of a nice little binder doing arts and crafts, just like Pam Bondi did. So, boy, I'm sure she's going to regret signing up for this job. So there's that sort of avenue to get more truth and transparency. But what about Department of Justice? I'm going to share Donald Trump's live reaction when the reporters asked him about this, and he finds out for the first time that they're going to be talking to Ghislaine. But first, here's Rich Rubino, political analyst, kind of explaining why this is such a big deal.
Want some sort of a deal where she will get immunity. I think that she's supposedly told other prisoners that she thinks she's going to be out well before the 20 years. She has a 20-year sentence. I think she believes she'll be out of prison a lot earlier. I think that she would. I think my guess is that she would testify. I think Alan Dershowitz, the attorney, has suggested that she potentially would testify. So I think that that's probably going to. I think that's something that very possibly could happen.
And again, what she has to say, she's obviously a monster. She was the one that was going to Mar-a-Lago and finding these young women and hooking them up with Epstein. The question's not whether or not this happened, it's who else was involved. You know, they talk about all of these victims and all of these Johns, like, where are they? So here's Mike Johnson, spineless, coward Mike Johnson, announcing that Republicans are canceling Congress until September. Why are they going to do that? Do they want a nice long vacation, or do they want to, is this their way of saying, you want to vote on releasing the Epstein files? How can we vote if we're not here? And, Mike Johnson, he's got to do back to school shopping. He's got to go to Staples and get his kid some Trapper Keepers or whatever the hell they use for all of their loose leaf papers. But either way, just cowardly.
Two questions. First is, did the president or anyone in the administration ask you to delay the resolution until after recess?
No, but I, as you all know, I speak to the president multiple times a day on a typical day, often, always. And what I know about the president's heart on this is that he agrees with everything I've said here today. He wants maximum transparency, but he's also very insistent that we do not subject people who have already been victims of unspeakable crimes to further public scrutiny. And it would be a very dangerous thing to put those people's names out or to do a release of information in a way that is haphazard where they could be easily unmasked. And so you have to be very careful about how you do that.
And by the way, nobody is trying to dox the victims. They're going to completely redact their names. There'll be no photos of them. That will all be taken care of so quickly and so easily. This idea that they're looking out for the victims is laughable, absolute laughable.
Look, involved in the Epstein evil, okay, which is what it was. Just call it what it was. There are innocent victims of those unspeakable sex crimes, okay? Some of them were minors, some of them were not. When the Epstein records are turned over to the public, which we must do as quickly as possible, we have to also be very judicious and careful about protecting the innocent. I think everybody in the country should understand the necessity of that. The president himself has said that he wants maximum transparency and all credible evidence to be turned over to the American public.
What does that mean, all credible evidence? I don't think all credible evidence should be turned over to the public. I think all evidence should. I don't want them to decide what's credible and what's not credible. Now, some folks think that they're stalling because they're trying to find ways to remove Trump from the files. We have here a whistleblower says that the Department of Justice has a spreadsheet of every Trump mention in the Epstein files. This was shared yesterday. And who these whistleblowers are, they're people that understand that there's fraud going on. And whether it's just a delay tactic before these files are released, we have to rely on these whistleblowers to really get the information out. You know, Pam Bondi's Department of Justice was accused by whistleblowers of making the FBI comb through every document where Trump's mentioned. That's not transparency. So here's Trump responding to the question about what he thinks of Ghislaine Maxwell speaking to the Department of Justice.
Do you support the Justice Department seeking a new interview with Ghislaine Maxwell, and do you urge the Attorney General to seek one?
I don't know anything about it. They're going to what? Meet her?
Your Deputy Attorney General has reached out to Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney asking for a new interview.
Yeah, I don't know about it, but I think it's something that sounds appropriate to do, yeah.
Do you have any concern that your Deputy Attorney General, as your former attorney, would be conducting the interview, given...
No, I have no concern. He's a very talented person. He's very smart. I didn't know that they were going to do it. I don't really follow that too much.
Trump's not really following this Epstein stuff. He's too busy trying to get the Redskins name back for the Washington Commanders. Oh, good grief. So the Deputy Attorney General was also Trump's former attorney, and there's no concern about what that interview might look like. I hope someone from Ghislaine Maxwell's side is recording the interview on her end because, she needs to make sure that she doesn't slip and fall in the prison cells or something like that. Here we have, because of Epstein, here we have Caroline Leavitt, chief megaphone for the propaganda that spews out of the White House, responding to the idea that the FBI was encouraged and ordered to sweep the Epstein files for Trump's name.
There are reports that President Trump or that FBI agents going through the Epstein files were told to flag President Trump's name if it came up. Is that something the president was aware of or something that he directed those agents or the Department of Justice to do?
I don't believe that's something the White House was aware of. You'd have to ask the FBI.
So there it is. Not much of an answer there. Jeffrey Epstein's brother has said literally since Epstein died that it wasn't suicide, that it was murder. He hasn't changed his story at all. He is discussing this, I believe, with Nancy Grace here. And by the way, Epstein was killed or committed suicide, whichever one you want to believe, in New York City's Metropolitan Correction Center, which is one of the most, it's supposed to be one of the safest places, as far as, it's impenetrable, it's right there, high maximum security and all that jazz, whatever the hell you want to call it. But the point is that the fact that there's missing security footage, the story's changed. What do they want people to believe, right? It is so sloppy. Have a listen.
I already know you believe he was murdered. You don't refer to it as a suicide or a death. You refer to Jeffrey Epstein's murder, your brother. Why do you believe there's a cover-up now, Mark Epstein?
Well, it's always been covered up. It never came out and said it was, anything other than a suicide, even though the actual pathologists who did the autopsy, the only two, both claimed that they couldn't call it a suicide because it looked too much like a homicide.
Mark, according to reports, you actually laughed at the handling of the so-called Epstein files. Why?
But it's just so blatantly wrong. It's just wrong the way this is being handled. And if you believe, as I do, that this is a cover-up, it's sort of like, every time, like I said before, every time they do something or say something, it just puts their foot further down their throat. They're digging a deeper hole for themselves because nobody's believing anymore what they're saying. Even, the supporters on, it's not a partisan issue for me, but the president's supporters are getting really annoyed and breaking away because they don't like being lied to. It's not just my fight. A lot of people, most people who've seen, if not all the people who've seen all the information we have, nobody out of that group, nobody believes it was a suicide.
Yeah, that's right. And they've hired people to, he hired an expert coroner to look at it and said, no, this isn't the way a suicide goes down. So now we're talking, there was 2 to 3 minutes where the security cameras were down. What the hell could have happened? And again, this took place during Trump's presidency, right? So I don't know, but I know it's interesting, and I know they're trying to really divert our attention. Here is Trump talking about the Department of Justice. He was asked who they should target with this new Obama committing treason thing. It's just laughable. Have a listen.
Gabbard has submitted a criminal referral to the Department of Justice. From your perspective, who should the DOJ target as part of their investigation? What specific figures in the Obama administration?
Well, based on what I read, and I read pretty much what you read, it would be President Obama. He started it.
He started it. Oh, that fight you have with siblings. No, Mom, he started it.
And Biden was there with him, and Comey was there, and Clapper. The whole group was there. Brennan, they were all there.
Jimmy Kimmel. You got to get rid of Jimmy Fallon. They're all committing treason.
In a room. Right here. This was the room.
They were in this room eating cats and dogs. They were eating the cats and dogs.
This is much more beautiful than it was then, but that's okay. I have nice pictures up. They came out of the vaults. They were in there for 100 years. This is much more beautiful. We have the Declaration of Independence now in the room, which wasn't here. I guess people didn't feel too good about it.
We printed the Constitution up on 2-ply toilet paper so we could wipe our ass with the amendments we're no longer following. Oh my gosh, folks. Who the hell thinks this is a good thing, what's happening right now? Will somebody get their grandfather? Can we get this guy? What is happening? So he's canning, let's just recap just this week. He's trying to get the late night hosts removed. He's trying to get the NFL football teams to change their names back to names that, they decided to remove several years ago. He's trying to get Obama investigated for treason. It's like, bro, just release the Epstein files. All right, that's it for me. We'll be back in the morning. Thanks to all the new subscribers. Keep sharing us with your friends. Leave a comment. Helps the algorithm. Helps me continue to make this content. We'll see you in the morning. I'm Dave, and this is The Rush.